We're gonna start seated. I'm gonna use my blocks, just kind of place them underneath my bum. I've been loving one block for each bum cheek, but you can always just do one or two, your choice. And if you don't want to use the blocks, that's fine too. I'm gonna slide them underneath my bum and then extend the legs out in front. We'll start in a super soft staff position. Staff pose Dandasana, but not all that activity. I think my blocks are different heights. They are. I was like, why am I leaning to one side? My blocks are two different heights. Okay, cool. I'll be left-sided today. So take these first couple of moments just to check in, scan through the body. Notice how you feel today. When we notice the parts that are physical, where you feel stretch and ease, where you feel tension within the body. But we also check in with our emotions. Recognizing, welcoming any emotion that you have, frustration, intimidation, fear, joy, contentment. Knowing that each one of those is a part of you. And that makes it special, that makes it valid. And then connect to your breath. Feel your breath coming in and out. Create a smooth and steady rhythm. During class, I'll kind of cue that smooth and steady rhythm. But no particular pranayama here at the beginning of class. Just noticing how that breath feels shifting through you. You're welcome to keep the eyes closed or softly flutter them open. If you're open, gaze down at the toes and start to bend the toes. Make a little fist and then extend through the toes. We'll work in sets of 4 today, if I can remember to count that high. Opening and closing, making space. Inviting the toes to point away and then to flex towards you. Ankles become soft. I'm gonna make a little C shape with my hand. I'm gonna place the thumb on the inner knee and my 4 fingers on the outer knee. The outside of my palm is just resting against my thigh. This is a tactile little self-adjust. We're gonna shift the the kneecap toward us. And we wanna do it so slowly and with so much control that the thigh doesn't activate too much. And you might think, she's nuts, and that's okay. Just explore. And then try that on the other side, with or without the hands. I like the hands, that just reminds me, hey, don't engage the thigh. I want to work on the lower half of that kneecap, engaging, strengthening, and activating those ligaments and joints that wrap around the knee. And then we're up on blocks, so find yourself balanced, lean back, interlace the fingers behind the leg, float that foot off the ground and extend and bend. And then start to make circles with the shin. Again, see if you can do it without moving through the hips. Maybe you feel a little bit less hamstring engagement. Take those circles or ovals in both directions. And then cross the ankle over the opposite thigh. Let the ankle kind of dangle off. I'm going to interweave my fingers between my toes. If that freaks you out, know that you don't have to. Circle or crank the ankle. Real slow and steady rotations. Activating all those teeny tiny muscles. Taking the circles in both directions. I'm going to keep my fingers in between my toes and pay attention to the bent knee. Gently press it down toward the ground and then just release. Let it kind of bounce back up. Press and bounce. There's almost a rebound effect. And then squeeze the fingers between the toes. Press against those inner parts. And then release. Feel the vibration. Change out the legs. Balance yourself on those blocks and release the fingers behind the legs. Ooh. Sophie, I see a little tail on your screen, and I thought for a moment that you were dusting, and then I realized that's an animal. We'll take the circles through the knee. Remembering again, about four each direction. And then when you're complete with that, cross the ankle over. Take a moment here and weave those fingers between the toes. This side always takes me longer. And then crank through the ankle, circling them. Pausing with the foot, gently applying pressure to the bent knee and letting it kind of rebound back up. There's a bounce there. And then a squeeze in between the toes. And a release. Stretch the legs out. Give the legs a little bounce there. Bend the knees out to the side, soles of the feet come together, your typical butterfly or Baddha Konasana pose. Hold anywhere on the legs and just flutter the knees. And then flutter as fast as you can, really flutter, make it move. And then go as slowly as you can, creating a little bit more lift and lowering just a tad bit more. We're going to keep our legs as they are, but softly release the fingers, extend the arms out in front of you. I want to make sure that the shoulders are shrugged down. There's length in the neck. Arms are about in line with the shoulders. Make a fist and flick it out. Make a fist, flick it out. Two more. Next time they come into that fist, find some circles through the wrist. You can go both hands in the same direction or both hands in opposite direction. Just getting a nice little wiggle there. Take the arms out wide like the letter T. Roll the palms up to the sky and then extend. Stretch the fingers away from you. Keep shrugging the shoulders down on the back. Bend the elbows. Tap the fingers to the shoulders. And then add some circles here with the elbows. Last little round for me. Oh, and I release. Lift the knees, take the feet out in front of you, make them a little bit wide. So drag those pinkies toward the long edges of the mat. Lean back into the hands. I'm up on fingertips because our bum is elevated. We're just gonna windshield wiper knees side to side. Notice how that feels. Usually I have one leg that kind of moves with a little bit more ease than the other. Like I said before, I can't count to 4. I think this is like 6 or 7. So next time knees come up, pause there. Lift through the torso. Let the hands just hold on to the legs and take a few seated cat and cows. I love the feedback of the block. I can really feel the sit bones press into the block. I can almost feel the sit bones kind of round and roll along the block. Perfect. Bring your feet in a little bit closer. We're coming into a seated squat, and I want you to take the version that works for you because we're going to work hard here. Some people like the toes out, some people like the knees in, some people need a little bit more space. We're going to explore what it takes to get from this seated squat into a stand. So feel free to rock a few times, but eventually I like to shift my body forward, press into my feet, squeeze my bum and lift up. We're going to try that 4 times, lowering down. Now, Lori and I, we're like, dang, we can do this without arms, without hands assisting us, but you're always welcome to let hands assist. This is my round number 3. The 4th time we'll come to stand and we'll pause there. Find yourself in Tadasana near the top of the mat. Actually, even before we do that, let's go ahead and kick our blocks up to the outside edges of the top of the mat. They'll just be there and ready when we are. In your Tadasana, press the heels into the ground. Think about the shin bones coming forward, but the thigh bones heading back. Draw the belly in. And then notice, oftentimes when we draw the belly in, the ribs kind of flare out. I want to send the ribs back. But I want to do that without compromising the space through the collarbone. Stack the ears over the shoulders. Just check in with the breath. Looking for tapping into that smooth and steady rhythm. As you inhale, lift the arms up and overhead. Exhale, swan dive. Arms come wide, hinge the hips, folding. Half lift, hands to the floor or to the shins, extend the spine, and fold. Come all the way up again. Really press into the feet, squeeze the glutes, lift up, and fold. 1 half lift. Fold, bend the knees, place the hands on the ground, step your right knee back and down, low lunge. I'm going to take this opportunity to gather my blocks together. I like to slide mine to the second level, second height. And then I want you to think about strengthening here. So activity, drag the heel back, drag the knee forward. It's almost as if we are engaging through the inner leg. And then at that hip crease, hinge forward, let the hands catch the blocks, send the hips back and then forward, bending and straightening through the front leg. The next time your front knee bends, pause. Let the parts of the body that touch the mat root. Let them be really heavy. Rise up, reach the arms up and overhead. We're going to cross the right arm over the left. I'm going to give myself a hug. You're always welcome to find eagle arms. As you exhale, hinge and round forward. As you inhale, lift and extend. So a cat and cow with that shoulder stretch. Pay attention to the front knee. It tends to try to straighten. Keep it nice and bent. As we come forward and we round, release the hands. Slide the hands down to the mat. Tuck the back toes. Plank pose, please. Now here, I want you to really hold the plank and just take a few moments. Check in with the wrist. If this bothers you, come down to forearms. We want to feel the ball of the foot press into the ground. The heels lift and elevate. We want to feel the shoulders spread. The tailbone reaches to the heels. Take another breath. Lower the knees. Lift the arms. Rise up into a high kneel. Add a back bend here. Send the hips forward, open up across the chest. And then child's pose, hips to the heels. Hands come down in front. Now I'm going to keep my knees somewhat close together because it's part of a vinyasa and sometimes it's awkward to spread them and then put them back together. But you do you. If the forehead comes down to the mat or the block, go ahead and roll side to side on the forehead. And then hands grip the mat. Lift up through tabletop, tuck the toes, down dog. Hips rise. I want to feel length from my fingertips all the way up to my hips. And we're going to pedal out the feet. Just bend one knee and lift the heel. Bend the other knee, lift the heel. Do that again. Now, the next time the knee bends and the heel lifts, that leg, flip the toes over, press the toe prints into the ground. Keep pressing the hands into the ground, shifting the hips back. I always say hello to my calf here and then switch out. We're pedaling out the feet, but flipping the top of the foot. Let's try that again, one more time, each side. And then take a little walk to the top of the mat. Half lift as you draw the breath in, folding as you exhale. Inhale, rise up, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. One half lift and a fold. Plant the hands, left leg steps to the back of the mat, lower the knee. Adjust the blocks as needed. Again, think about squeezing the inner legs together, the inner thighs together. And then shift the hips back and bend the knee, nice and soft here. You can go as slowly or as quickly as you'd like. You can just move with the breath. Know that we'll meet one another with the front knee bends. We'll press into the parts that touch the ground and reach the arms up. Left arm's going to cross over the right. Give yourself a hug. Find your eagle arms, whatever works for you. As you exhale, curl in. Don't forget to keep that front knee bent. Inhale and lift. 3 more. When you complete that set, release the arms, slide the blocks if you need to adjust, step the front foot back, plank pose, and hold. Let every breath in plank pose be powerful. Know that in holding the pose, we're creating strength. We're creating stability. Tap the knees down, lift up the arms, add a back bend if you'd like. And a child's pose. Move through table into down dog. When you arrive into your down dog, take the heels a little bit closer together, toes a little bit out. So the down dog from the torso all the way down to the hands is going to stay the same. But I want you to explore what it feels like to bend the knees and sink the hips back. A little funky down dog squat, lift the hips. 3 more, please. Draw the toes forward and take a little walk top of the mat. Half lift when you arrive and a fold. Rise all the way up and a fold. It's kind of hot. I was thinking the same thing. I'll click the air on. Half lift. And a fold. Step the right foot back. High lunge. So keep the knee off the ground, but always know that you don't have to keep the knee off the ground. We're going to take our blocks to the highest level, please. Shift the hips back, straighten the front leg, and bend. Now you have the option here to lift the toes of that front foot as you shift back. Option's yours if you want to take it, not required. Okay, if I estimated correctly, this is number 4. Okay, perfect. The next time that front knee bends, keep the right hand planted. Lift the left arm up to the sky. Bend the elbow and take that hand behind your head. Just catch the head. I want you to press the head into the hand. Press the feet into the mat. And then from that strength, start to take the elbow back behind you. Take a little twist, rotation through the thoracic spine. And then release. Frame the front foot. Step it back, plank pose. Again, we're holding these planks. You always have the option to move through a vinyasa, but the thrill and the joy of being able to speak while holding through a plank is really invigorating to me. So I'm just going to stay in the plank. 2 more full, steady breaths. Lower the knees. Lift up, slide the blocks with you. Take them back by the outer ankles. Little flowing camel, not floating, sorry. One arm's gonna lift and circle around. Maybe it finds the block, opposite arm lifts to the side. We come back through center. Let's alternate, switch the arms. Maybe there's 1 more each side. So just a set of 2 with this little flowing camel. As you inhale, think about expanding that breath through the body. Child's pose. Slide the blocks forward. I'm going to place them on the lowest level and encourage my elbows to rest on the block. I like to bend the elbows here and find prayer hands as the heart kind of shifts and melts down to the ground. Your prayer hands can point to the top of the mat, to the sky, or the thumb can rest against the neck. A couple of breaths here, just noticing. Inviting the underarms to become heavy. But with that, the backs of the shoulders really have to activate to support it. There's a balance of flexibility and strength, and they have to work in partnership. Release the hands forward. Maybe you slide the blocks kind of off to the long edges of the mat. Move through tabletop into down dog. Returning to those little funky down dog squats. Feel free to turn the toes out if you'd like them. Or maybe this time you play around with keeping the toes and the knees bending forward and extending. Take that walk to the top of the mat. Half left, draw breath in. And fold. Draw the body all the way up, reach the arms up. Swan dive down as you squeeze breath out. Half left. And fold. Plant the hands, left leg steps back. Remember, we're gonna try to keep that knee off of the mat if possible. I'm gonna reach for my blocks again. Stack them up. Straighten the front leg. Again, you've got that option to lift the front toes. We'll meet with the front knee bent. Left hand stays rooted to the block, right arm reaches up, twisted lunge. Can you lift that back thigh bone up to the sky? Really activate through that leg. Bend the elbow, catch the back of your head. Press the head into the hand. And then think about sending that elbow back any little amount. And release. Adjust the blocks, step back, plank pose. And hold. Remember to breathe even in the hold of the shape. Knees begin to lower. And slide the blocks back to the ankles if you like them for that flowing camel. 2 flowing camels. Stretching back, opening up, moving into this inner body, this front side of the body. Shift the blocks up forward, top of the mat, child's pose, any version here for you. If the arms are back by the heel, stretch them forward, lift up a little bit. We're going to thread our child's pose. Right arm goes underneath the left and we lower the shoulder down. I'm going to encourage you to bend that left elbow, soften a little bit. You want to feel a beginning of a stretch in that right shoulder, but it never ever wants to hurt. If you're there and you think, man, this is intense, back out a little bit. If you're there and you think, I need a little bit more movement in order to tap into that stretch. Follow my words. Slide the left hand in front of your face, palm down, elbow up to the sky. That might do it. Whew. You might want to press into the hand and kind of roll over onto the right shoulder. That might really do it. Whew. For me, that's a little bit too much, so I'm going to back out a bit. Wherever you are, take a breath. And then release. Unwind from that threaded shoulder, and we'll try that on the other side. Left arm underneath. We lower down. We take a few breaths, just softening, noticing, checking in. Anytime a teacher gives you variations, you can take what works for you, but you do not have to do them all. You can totally ignore the teacher, it's totally fine. But if you want to try that twist in the threaded lung or the threaded child, slide the right hand right there in front of the face, elbow up to the sky. Press into that right hand as you just roll a little bit more onto the left side. Ooh. Breathe, don't forget the breath. Unravel from the child's pose. Unthread the arm. I'm going to take my blocks. I like the second level, but again, there's 3 levels. I'm going to make like a little A-frame, but the blocks will not touch. I'm going to put them up near the top of the mat. I want the space in between those top corners of the mat to be enough space for my face. Slide forward. Top of the shoulder, top of the bicep presses against the block. Head comes down in the middle. Some people like arms back, some people like arms bent. What I want you to feel here is a gentle opening through the front of the chest, space through the clavicle. Sometimes it's easier to notice those shoulder blades on the back side of the body squeezing toward one another. We're going to take a good 3-4 more rounds of breath. In this particular pose, let gravity do the work for you instead of fighting against it. Invite the body to sink down into the mat. Draw the hands up near the shoulders. Mine have to come off of the mat, press up. I'm going to keep my body elevated and use my hands to move the blocks. Take a lot of back strength there, lower back down. Fingertips are by the rib cage, elbows are up to the sky, they're squeezing together. We slide the legs closer together, zip them up. I'm going to encourage you to think about the pinky toes. Can you press those pinky toenails down to the ground? We're going to inhale and lift the chest and the head, a little baby cobra, just flowing, and exhale, lower. There's 4 of these. Give yourself an opportunity to explore no hands again. In this particular shape, we want to think about lengthening through the spine. The next time you lift, swing the arms around behind you, palms up to the sky or palms toward the hips, your choice. Lengthen a little bit more, lift a little bit more, float the legs, locust pose, full locust. We want to stretch out with the toes, reach back with the fingers, stretch forward with the crown of the head, and then lower. Whew. Soften one cheek down to the mat. Take a moment here, windshield wiper the feet, maybe make some circles, shift the hips. Once again, palms come near the shoulders, press up and back, tabletop pose. Take a few rounds of cat and cow here, just opportunity to reset the spine. Every time I do a deep back bend, I end up lingering in that cat pose a little bit longer, counterbalance, counter stretch. Take one more round wherever you are. From our tabletop pose, we're going to move into a 90-90. I like to do this by sliding the right knee forward, kind of moving that foot out of the way, and then lowering the bum to the right. I'm never in a 90-90 when I arrive, so I always reset. I want to think about a right angle, a 90-degree angle right there along the groin. And then I want to open up that front knee so there's a right angle behind the kneecap. And I check the ankle itself. There's a right ankle in the front of the ankle. Right angle in the front of the ankle. And then check the back leg. Whew. I always have to open mine up a little bit. Right hand comes down to the side. You can kind of lean into it, find some softness. Left hand comes to the hip of the left side. And just kind of pulse. Lengthen that left hip and then send the left bum toward the ground. This is what I needed today, right? Now, just for kicks, I did this in the class this morning, and the student, she didn't understand my instructions. So just for kicks, we're going to do what she did. I want you to lift up that right hand and roll the body to the left and see if you can reach both hands toward the left foot. And notice how challenging that is, right? Okay, release. Take them to the right. Take a little twist. You can lower down to the forearms. You have got block right there if you want to slide it underneath the forehead. Soften. Again, we're utilizing gravity here, so let the hips become heavy. Let the breath become steady. When you're ready to shift again, palms find the ground. We press into the ground and we lift up. We're gonna roll onto our bum. For me, I'm facing the long edge of the mat. Feet are on the floor, knees are to the sky. I'm gonna take the arms out in front of me. They can be reaching or they can be clasped, your choice. Now, just explore. You can always use the hands. What would it take to lower the knees to the right? And then float them back up and lower the knees to the left. Kind of rock it back and forth. I know for me, I kind of shift my body toward that edge of the mat. Recognize if that happens with you. The next time the knees come down to the left, that's where we're pausing. We're setting up for 90-90. Readjust. Left hand supports us, right hand finds that hip crease. We just rock or pulse the hip. Rock or pulse that right bum cheek, lifting and lowering. Now again, just for kicks, we're going to see what it takes to twist toward that back foot, reach the hands toward the back foot and hem out. And then unravel from that, twist to the left, lower the body down. Hands, forearms, head, whatever reaches. Pay attention to the exhales here. Notice how with each breath we release, the body releases, it surrenders toward the mat, toward the ground. When you're ready to come back up, hands press into the ground, hands walk toward the torso, toward the hips, roll over onto the bum. Hands on the floor, hands in front, or hands up to the sky this time. Woo. Rock the knees side to side, windshield wiper. I know I'm off my mat, Lori. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna end up on Lori's mat in just a second. This is my last one. Ooh. Let the hands come down, wiggle your way back onto your mat. I'm gonna slide my blocks toward the center of the mat just so I can have access to them. Lower the body down. Knees to the sky, feet to the floor, spine nice and long on the mat. Take a few moments here, just check in with the hips. Hopefully they're feeling nice and juicy. Lots of space there. And then pinky toes are edging their way to the long edges of the mat. Knees come in, a little knock-knee mountain pose, constructive rest. Can you notice, can you tune in to the way the inner thighs dip down to the ground? Can you feel the way the outer bum spreads and wraps? Let's separate the knees. We're going to keep the feet right where they are and just move one knee at a time. Let's dip the right knee in toward that left foot. Now you're going to feel the stretch. I'm going to ask you to stay where you feel it and then add a little pulse. That right knee dips down to the ground and then it pops back up. Very similar to what we did in that 90-90 where we held the hip crease. But here we're using active range of motion. We're not letting any other body part take it. And then find that one spot where you really feel the stretch, but you don't want to scream or cuss at me, and linger. Take a breath, maybe even two. And then lift back up. Let's try that on the other side, just exploring. Dip the left ankle in, or the left knee into the right ankle. Maybe you find the pulses. If you feel tension in the knee, you can widen the feet, you can narrow the feet, you can back out of that internal rotation. So just pay attention. Find that spot where you feel the stretch intensely, but you're able to breathe. Linger. And release. Find a full body stretch. Legs reach to the short edge of the mat. Oh, arms reach to the opposite short edge. Lengthen, reach through, maybe reach through the right side and then the left side. Then once more, bend the knees. This time I've got my heels in line with my hips, but I'm going to take a step away from my hips. So there's more distance between the hips and the heels. Very much like thread the needle or that threaded child's pose, but this time we're threading the foot. Take that right foot, slide it underneath the left leg. I like to reach with my left hand and see if I can find the foot, draw it closer toward my bum. Ooh, this is that psoas muscle. Know that that right knee that's bent, we want it to reach toward the short edge of the mat, but it does not have to touch the floor. We're looking just for that beginning stretching points, and we're breathing. Your right hand, reach it up to the sky. And then take that right hand and reach it past your head. Bend the elbow. We're going to lift the head and catch the head with the right hand. Lower back down. Now, most of the time when we do that, the ribs float. They flare up to the sky. Here, I want you to press the ribs down to the mat. And notice what happens with the hips. Oh, my knee is like, hello, I feel you. Float the ribs up again. Really exaggerate it. Flare them out and then bring the backs of the ribs down to the ground. Y'all feel that? I hope so. One more time, flare them out and then press them down. Or back's moving to the right. Yeah, my whole back is moving. And then release the hand. Unthread the right leg. Let's extend both legs down the mat. Moving into our banana asana or our supine crescent lunge, slide the legs over to the left. I'm going to encourage you to cross the right ankle over the left and then flex through the feet. Right arm reaches to the top right corner. We want to reach just enough, bend through the upper body, just enough so that that hand and the elbow can press against the ground. I find that the only way my elbow touches the ground is if I bend it, so feel free to do that, or not use the arms. Another breath here. And then we're wiggling our way back to the center of the mat, bending the knees, returning to that space between hips and heels. Left foot threads under the right. Maybe you reach for it with the right hand, you draw that foot in toward the bum and you stretch the knee away. Again, you've got opportunity here to pulse or to find stillness. Reach the left arm up into the sky and then back behind you. Bend the elbow, lift the head. Place the back of the hand on the mat, head resting in the palm. Flare the ribs, really extend them up to the sky and then press them down and notice what fires up. You do that a couple of times. On this side, I'm noticing that right foot on the ground, the big toe presses into the mat. I'm using that to stabilize myself. So know that you don't always have to feel it in one spot. We're all interconnected. If you're feeling it, you're doing it. Another breath. And then an unraveling of arms, a lengthening out of legs, stretching them long on the mat. Maybe there's a moan or a groan. Slide the feet over to the right. And again, we're going to explore. Flex the feet, cross the left ankle on top. Ooh. You've got the option for the side bend through the upper body. Check in with the breath. Notice how it moves through the body. And then eventually unravel the arms. Straighten the legs. Let's explore that full body stretch one more time. This time, interlace your fingers and roll the palms away from your head. Point with the toes, and then reach out with the heels. Keep the hands extended. Maybe you point again and flex again. And then release the arms. Bend the knees. So here we are in that base pose. Sophie, I'm going to kind of rotate just a little bit so you have a better visual. Spine is on the mat, crown or the back of the head is on the mat, knees are up to the sky. I want you to feel the low back, press it into the ground. Notice when you do that, the shoulder blades spread and press also. And then just kind of relax it. Notice what happens with your shoulder blades. And do that a couple of times so you can tune into that. When teachers cue that, what they're actually cueing is they want active engagement of the abdomen. And a lot of times we think the abdomen is just our belly, but it wraps around us. So we want to think about activating the entire abdomen. The next time you press down, lift a foot from the floor and then the other one. We're sitting like we're in a straight back chair. Perfect. Keep the abdomen pressed down. Takes a lot of work here. Notice if the rib flare. Remember, press the ribs down to the ground. I'm going to take my arms out to the side, not quite wings, more like an upside down mountain or upside down V. And then we're just going to work one leg at a time. Let's open the knee out to the side and then lift it back up. Same leg, 3 more times. The opening, the range of motion, not as important here as the pressing of the back into the mat. Not just the low back, but even the shoulder blades. We'll take 4 on the other leg. Sneak in some core work in, right? Gotta be strong. When you finish that set of 4, keep the feet floating. Stay engaged through the abdomen. Breathe. Notice if you're gripping through the teeth. Notice if you're furrowing up the forehead, can you soften through the face? And then as if we're marching in place, one heel taps down and lifts. The opposite heel taps down and lifts. Keep the ribs knit in. Keep the back pressing toward the ground. If you're shaking right now like me, that just means your muscles are firing up. It's a sign of growth. Keep at it. There's only 4. We can all do 4, right? That means I got 1 more marching in place to each side. And then a hugging in of the knees. Whew. Let the belly go, kind of massage side to side. Yeah. Little side note, just because I always think it's interesting. The more we do simple muscle strength training like that, those little marching in place or the opening up by keeping the back engaged, we're actually strengthening through the entire pelvic floor, which can prevent that incontinence, that urge to pee, or the inability to stop pee when you're laughing or crying. There's always a good benefit to working out. Let's return to it again. Back on the ground, knees over hips. They're just bent like we're sitting in a straight back chair. We're going to keep the left leg where it is, hug the right knee into the chest. Keep that engagement through the back and then switch. The left leg comes in. Now, as we take 3 more of these, you're welcome to straighten the opposite leg, keep it hovering. You can stay with returning to that straight back chair. The next time you hug the right knee in, stay there. We're going to cross that right leg over the left like we're sitting. Wherever you are, wherever the legs connect, can you squeeze the thighs together? Remember low back, remember shoulder blades, press them against the ground. Keeping all of that, maintaining that spread through the toes. Give yourself a nice big hug, crossing one arm over the other. And then release the arms, uncross the legs, hug the knees in. Take a little side to side sway. One more time, we're setting up. Find that tall back chair. I'm going to start with the opposite leg just because I want to. I'm going to keep the back pressed into the mat. I'm going to hug the left knee in. And then the right. You've got the opportunity to stretch the opposite leg out. Just keep it hovering. Remember again, the opportunity here is to engage through the abdomen. Next time your left leg comes in, pause. Cross the left leg over the right. Wherever they cross is perfect. Squeeze the thighs together. Give yourself a nice big hug. Can you press the low back any more into the back of the mat? Into the ground, into the floor. Can you spread through the toes? Can you unclench the jaw? And then release. Return to that straight back chair. Extend the legs up to the sky. Keep the abdomen engaged. This is our last one. We're settling down. Lower the heels. Take them down to the mat. Keep the rest of the low back in as long as you can. And then release. Full body stretch. Move into half happy baby. Knee comes in, moves out to the rib cage, outside of the rib cage. Foot can come up to the sky. You can hold the back of the thigh or the foot. You're welcome to find a little pulse there. Half happy baby, other side, please. And then let's take a full happy baby. Both knees come in. They're going to the outside of the rib cage. We're thinking about bringing those knees into the armpits. So we're squeezing then our thighs together, but we're also pressing the knees down to the ground. Go ahead and extend one leg and then the other. Might feel really good to add a little rock side to side into this motion. And then just draw the knees into the chest. Let the hands, the palms cup the knees, circle through the ankles a few times, both directions. You're welcome to circle the knees a few times, 2 or 3. Preparing, knowing, anticipating that Shavasana is next. So as you're ready, you'll make your way into that favorite resting pose. You'll notice the pitter patter of my feet as I get up to turn the lights out. Invite the body to be heavy. Just settle in. Just surrender to the ground. Notice as we soften how the body relaxes. We'll follow 5 steady rounds of breath. Smoothly flowing through the body. Noticing the rise and the fall of the chest. And then adding a little wiggle, fingers and toes. Maybe one more full body stretch, lining up the body, sliding legs together, and then hugging knees in toward the chest. Yogi's choice, you can roll side to side, you can roll along the spine. Eventually, we all make our way to a comfortable seat. We'll gather the palms together, thumbs near the heart. This moment of gratitude. Grateful for breath, for movement, for one another. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you, Kath.